Where do you think we're falling short if that's the case, or where do you think you're doing really good and we need to keep doing more of? Give me some insight. Shauna, what you thinking? You got that awesome calendar up behind you there, full of little notes. Like, tell me what we got going on.
I was just looking at my transaction board.
Awesome. Shauna, how's transaction board looking?
I have I have two in escrow. I have 1, 2, 3 live listings and one coming up on the 19th.
Cool. That sounds like a healthy pipeline.
And I'm hoping I get this offer accepted today.
There you go. There you go. You got a healthy pipeline going. That's good. That's good. Let me shift the question a little bit here since we're being shot. Any Q&A? Anything that anybody's looking for right now that's just like, man, I really hope we would be talking about this today.
I'm coming up on that day that Tom Ferry was saying at the event to pick a day on the calendar in September to plan your next year out.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any suggestions on
Yes.
how to go about?
So business planning?
Yeah, and just a quick little,
Yeah.
Everyone might not want to hear that. But.
So you may have heard this before. Marketing is math, right? Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
Okay, marketing is math. So Shauna, I would challenge you, and for everybody for this matter, is we're going into the fourth quarter of the year pretty soon here. I would analyze maybe over the past 12 months, or maybe even your entire career. How long have you been in the business, Shauna?
I did like 8, 9 months last year, and then this is going to be my first full year.
Okay, cool. So over your entire career, how many transactions do you think you've sold? Take a guess.
22.
22. Okay, cool.
That's an exact number.
Yeah. Do you have all your business sourced out? Do you know the sources of all your business?
Yes.
Okay. What's your number one lead source?
Probably more Zillow. I believe it's more Zillow right now, but it's
okay. And knowing what percentage of your business that comes from is going to be really important. Okay. So for all of us that are thinking about like, how do I improve my business? I would break it down. I'd break down your business, all the sales that you've had. And if you're newer and you're saying, well, I don't really have that yet, then lean on your peers on this call that you feel you're most like, and say, how many deals have you done in the past 12 months? And what are the lead sources you've been receiving your business from? And instead of, like, you may say, like Shauna, you may say 50% of my business is Zillow. Maybe that's high, I don't know. But maybe 50% of my business is Zillow. The runner-up is past clients or Sphere, or maybe a combination of, maybe you've got another lead source out there too. But what I tend to find is that when people break down their lead sources and analyze their business, they tend to want to focus on the smaller numbers, like, open houses only represents like 5% of my business, and I want to do more open houses. But I'm not saying not to focus on that smaller number, but where the real money's at is focusing on the larger numbers and say, how can I improve that? Like if you've got a lead source that is the largest portion of your business, how can you make that better? Because that's what you're good at. That's what you probably enjoy doing, or that's what is the most resourceful for you right now. So I would think about making a business plan around maybe your top 2 lead sources. And then if there's one you want to add and you want to improve tremendously, then maybe throw that in as the third. But I'd really look at the metrics of your business as much as you can, right? Also, I'd be interested in to know, when I say marketing is math, how many of us, just by show of hands or thumbs here, how many of you track your track your efforts, the KPIs, like this is how many calls I make. This is how many conversations I have. This is how many appointments I set. This is how many that show up, how many offers I write. Who's tracking that? Anybody? I've got one hand doing this in the group room that I can see. Wow. Okay, so guys, all business is math. All business is math. So I sat down with I have an ISA I hired 3 months ago, literally right at the 90-day mark the other day. And I said, hey, how you doing? Just soft open up into our conversation. Hey, how you doing? I think I'm doing all right. But at the same time, I feel like I could be doing better. I'm just really struggling. No one answers the damn phone. That's what he said. He's like, no one ever answers that phone. And I said, wait a minute, you're an employee. You're supposed to be tracking your data here. I was like, what do you mean nobody? Nobody means literally no one's ever answered the phone. So let's stay away from terms like nobody or always or never, because sometimes we can sell ourselves the wrong way of what's really going on. I said, let's pull up the data. And he uses a tracker every single day, but he never looks at the metrics. And we pulled it up and he has a 27% answer rate. 27% answer rate. And he pretty much works 9 to 5. So he's not calling on the evenings or weekends. He's more of a 9 to 5 employee. 27%. And I was like, how do you feel about 27%? And he's like, I had no idea that I was at a 27% answer rate. I would have guessed it was more like 5%. And it gave him just like this huge insight to his own efforts. And he had no idea. And he's like, yeah, like one out of 4 times they're going to answer the phone. So every time 3 people don't answer, you're like, all right, the next one's going to answer. And it really helped his psyche in that sense. We took it to the next step and we looked at how many appointments he had set. He had, out of the people that he actually spoke to, he had about a 40% appointment set rate. So out of all the people he's talking to, about 40% of them, he was setting an appointment with. That is stellar. Do you guys agree with that? Again, he was beating himself up. He didn't know the number was that high. He had no idea. Now, the next area we looked at was the show rate, like how many times the client actually shows up. And it was sitting right around 50%. And we both agreed that that wasn't good. Half of the appointments that we set, they don't show up. Now he's an ISA, so he's setting appointments for agents. How does that make an agent feel? Does anybody have an ISA that they work with in this group? If I see a couple of head nods here, for those of you that have ISAs, if your ISA set up, out of all the appointments they set up, only half of them showed, how would you feel as an agent? Not good, right? Half of the time you're getting dressed, you're getting in the car, you're driving there, and then you're like, great, right? It messes with your head a little bit. So as we start to go down this funnel of these percentages I'm talking about here, we were able to make some serious changes based on truly the data. So first off, if you want to improve your answer rate, maybe we should adjust our schedule and start calling it testing, calling like, hey, do you want to work? You want to skip Friday and work on a Sunday instead and have Friday, Saturday off and see if we can't pick up more people? And he was like, I'd be okay with that. Maybe not every single week, but I'd do at least two a month. I'd be happy to change my schedule to a month. I said, cool, let's see what happens. I also pulled up some interesting data here. I want to share with you guys something. How many of you have Zillow as a lead source? Okay, we got a lot of people with Zillow as a lead source. Okay, this is just really interesting data, whether you have Zillow or not. Zillow gave this for my team. Let's see. Zillow gave this for my team. Write these numbers down because I need you to see this visually here, and I'm looking a little chicken scratch, so I'm not going to show it to you. Write these numbers down. So in the past 30 days, this is as of a couple days ago. In the past 30 days, this is how many Zillow leads we received based on the day of the week. So for example, on all the Sundays in the past 30 days, so in basically the past 4 Sundays, we received 53 phone calls that came to us. On Mondays, we receive 33. On Tuesdays, we receive 33. On Wednesdays, we receive 27. On Thursdays, we receive 21. On Friday, we receive 26. On Saturdays, we receive 39. So as you look at those numbers that you just wrote down, is anybody surprised at this data? I was surprised at Thursdays and Fridays. Thursdays and Fridays had the least amount of inbound phone calls. I was shocked. I kind of thought, hey, consumers have the weekend coming up. They're likely to not be working on the weekend, and they want to like plan their weekend to go look at houses. And so I would have assumed that Thursdays and Fridays would have been the time that the phone would ring a lot. But the data shows those are the worst days. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if consumers are making outbound calls based on the rankings I showed you here, do we think they're as equally likely to answer the phone on those days? I think there's some logic to that. Rochelle's telling me no. What's your thoughts? Roro.
I mean, you said your answer rate was lower, so then they're, waiting till the weekend to, wind down. Look,
I think we're on the same page. If Sundays is the day that, no, confirm if I'm wrong here. If Sundays is the day where we get the most inbound leads, they're probably really likely to answer the phone on Sundays.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Oh.
And so how many of us are prospecting on Sundays? Anybody? Now, you may say, gosh, it's Sunday though. And I'm a huge football fan. Like, first NFL game happens tonight, and then we got weekend football, right? So like that's gonna mess with me a little bit. But at the same time, can I carve out an hour and make some phone calls on Sundays and see if I can't line some stuff up for the week? There's some opportunity there. But here's the really interesting thing about that data right there. As I look at my team, our worst answer rate is on the days that it's completely opposite. Our worst answer rate is on Sundays. Our best answer rate is on Thursdays. And our second best answer rate is on Fridays, because agents are thinking, gosh, I don't have anything going this weekend. I need to like start working a little bit on Thursday and Friday. And that's like the worst time. That's the worst time.
Dad,
Shauna? Yes.
I have a question for you. Don't you think that's because most agents are busy with clients on those days showing homes, so it's harder to answer the phone? Or
so,
because I know for me, like those days that I'm showing clients homes and I'm running here and there and everywhere, it's harder to answer the calls during those times.
I understand that completely. Okay. But what I really want you to focus on is the outbound effort too. So let's say you've got a Sunday and you're out showing houses on Sunday. There's a good chance you probably have an hour window where you're kind of twiddling your thumbs, right? So what if you scheduled, like, every time you had a Sunday, like if you're working that day, you're like, I need to make sure I get my hour of power in on Sunday, because that's a very valuable time. And I don't know about you guys, but I find that consumers, they don't always understand that we work on weekends. So if you call, I hear agents say this all the time. Well, I don't want to call Sunday afternoon because I really don't want to set up another appointment for Sunday afternoon or evening because I got stuff going on, or family or football or whatever. But the reality is you're calling them. They're not calling you demanding anything. So you can call them and you can let them know, hey, I'm free on Monday. I'm free on Tuesday. I'm free whenever, right? And so I would challenge you to think, shifting up to bring it back home to what Shauna said, business planning is what she's about to start thinking about. This is all wrapped around math. And so if you guys have lead sources that provide you this data, like Zillow, or your CRM provides you this data, or anything of that nature, there's a lot of ways you can pull some of this stuff. It's really interesting. It's really interesting to see where it's at. Or if you're measuring your KPI efforts, as I was working with my ISA, we realized, okay, so the first area is maybe we can change up when we're making phone calls to increase the answer rate. The second area is how do we increase the appointments? Well, you talk to this many people, you set up this many appointments. And then if we take it a step further, we're also realizing that a 50% show rate. So even when we're setting the appointments, we're probably not setting them as solid as possible, as we possibly could. So are we role playing? Are we practicing what we're saying? If you go to, how many of you role play? Show of hands. Okay, if your role play consists of, you do a role play and the other person says you did pretty good, I might change this one thing, you need to change role play partners. Or you need to look at your partner and say, hey, I need you to be serious with me. Don't make me feel good. I need you to pick it apart. Because you should be able to do one solid role play and someone should take notes and you guys should be able to debrief that call for an hour long. Voice intonation, personality types, sticking to the script, objection handling. You should be able to go deep and learn a whole lot from just that one role play to change the percentage of appointments that you're setting to raise that higher. For those of you that saw Phil Jones, how many of you saw Phil Jones at Summit? Man, that guy was impressive, right? You guys remember when he stood on stage and he said, how many people of you have proposed, proposed to someone in your life? And for those of you that did, you were pretty much 99.9% sure they were going to say yes, right? And so are we setting ourselves up when we're asking for the close, or in this case, asking for the appointment? Are we setting ourselves up to where we have enough value that we've shown that they're going to say yes? Now, I'm not discounting the ALM script, like with the Zillow leads. Those are pretty slam dunk easy because they like want to see the house, but you still got to show some personality and you still need to offer some value. Because if it's literally just like, hey, I see you're calling about Banana Street. Would you like to see it today or tomorrow would be better? And they say, I want to see it today. Great. How's 2 o'clock sound? 2 o'clock's great. All right, I'll see you then. Like, it's pretty easy for them not to show up with you because you're just basically a telemarketer and they don't care. But if you take it a step further and you learn a little bit about them, go ahead and set the appointment. And then, hey, okay, we're going to meet you at 2 o'clock today. Are there any other homes in the area you'd like to see? Well, no, I think this is the only one I've seen. Okay, do you want me to let you know of any of the homes in the area, or do you feel like you already know about them? Well, what do you know about? All right, well, I tell you what, do you mind hanging on just 1 second? I'm going to pull up the MLS and just make sure we're not missing anything. Put them on hold. Come back. Okay, I'm so sorry to put you on hold there. So I've got everything pulled up now. Here's the exact addresses I see. Were you aware of this one? Were you aware of this one? Give opinions. This one seems a little pricey for what they're asking for it, and it's been on the market for a little while. So this one may be a little overpriced. This one looks good on the surface, but I'm a little skeptical of those pictures. Did you see those pictures? Because we all are always skeptical of the pictures, right? Like I'm a little skeptical of this. They're going to start to be like, wow, this person's talking to me like I want to be talked to. They're talking to me in my language. They're not trying to be a salesperson, right? It could even be just that little bit of interaction that's going to strengthen them wanting to meet you. Or if they do change their mind, they're more likely to call you and say, hey, we're changing our mind and here's why. And it gives you the opportunity to either pull it back together, reschedule it, or learn more about them. But these are areas where we can improve our met rate. Does that make sense? You guys following me? We take it to the offer, like what percentage, this is a really good question for everybody to know. What percentage of the offers you wrote got accepted? Also, what percentage of the contracts that you put under contract fell apart? There are some agents out there that even in my own team, that have really high fall through rates, like 30–40% fall through rates. And they confuse themselves thinking they're a great agent because they're putting contracts together left and right. But they're wasting a lot of time because they're focused on just getting the deal put together versus actually offering value to the client. Sometimes it's better to talk a client out of a deal than it is trying to talk them into a deal. If you ever find yourself, I know you guys know that, but if you ever find yourself talking a client into making a deal when they're on the fence, you need to really take a step back and think, this is likely to fall apart. So why would it be likely to fall apart? Oh, it's probably because of the things I'm scared to address. Right? Maybe I should just go ahead and address them now, because consumers don't like surprises. So when they get surprised, they're more likely to back out than stay in the deal. So if it's home inspection that's likely going to kill the deal, what's likely about the home inspection to kill the deal? And let's go ahead and tell them up front, this is likely what you could see on the home inspection report, and talk through those things. Is appraisal going to kill the deal? This is likely not going to appraise out. Here's going to be your options. Let's go ahead and make that game plan before we go under contract. If it doesn't appraise out, what you're willing to do. But all these decisions, though, are based on the metrics. So if you discover that, wow, out of the 30 offers I wrote this year, only 15 of them got accepted. That means 50% of my offers didn't get accepted. How does that compare to my peers? Because if my peers are at a 25% not accepted rate, that says I should probably be working on that, right? What do I need to change? What am I doing wrong? Now, I know we got like a bunch of Southern California people in here, but it really doesn't matter the market. It's always about relationships, especially, are we still facing multi-offer situations in your markets? A little bit?
Not really.
Right? Well, the little bit of those times that happens, it matters. It matters if you got a relationship. And a lot of times, especially if we're new, we don't know the agent on the other side. So we're just a Joe Blow to them. Who do you know within your company that's been around for a minute that you could call and say, hey, I'm submitting an offer to Susie Q. Do you know Susie Q? Do you have a relationship with her? Oh, you do. Can you make a phone call for me and just touch base with her and try to figure out what's really going on with that listing? Because it would be really helpful for me to know. Put in a good word for me. Let her know I'm working with you guys, your company. I'm under your mentorship. Just make them feel good. We with my team, we have a Slack channel that is designed just for that.
We have that.
Good, great, Shauna. Every time we make an offer, if that agent does not have a relationship with the listing agent, they Slack out on that channel. Who knows this agent? I'm making an offer on it. Can you help me out? And like 9 times out of 10, someone else in the company or team knows them. And that can be the difference. That can be the difference maker. The last house I purchased back in February of this year, is for our primary residence for my wife and I, and it had 6 offers on it, was on the market for a day, and 4 of them were cash. 2 of us were getting a loan. I was one getting a loan. But I had a relationship with the agent. So I didn't schedule a showing. I called the agent. I said, hey, this might be the house for me and my wife. What's going on with it? And she says, I got a ton of showings. We're already got a couple offers in. I'm expecting a few more. And I said, do I even have a shot? Do I even want to tease my wife? Because, for those of us that are in my shoes, you're like, do I really want to open up that can of worms? Because my wife hadn't even seen the house yet. And I'm like, do I even have a shot at it? She says, yeah, Doug, I'll take care of you. Go show it or go look at it. So we had a 15-minute window. We looked at it very quickly. And I called her after and I said, hey, we want the house. What do I offer? I didn't write an offer. I said, hey, what do I offer? And she says, I'm supposed to be getting a few more offers in. Let me call you back. So late that night, she calls me and she says, hey, it needs to be north of this number. Her name's Linda. I said, Linda, just tell me what to write in the contract. What's it need to be? And she said, well, are you cash or are you getting financed? I'm like, financed. And she's like, oh, I got like 4 cash offers. They're all over asking right now. And I'm like, this sucks. This sucks, right? I'm just like a consumer at that point, playing the game, but with an edge. I said, Linda, just tell me what to write. So we ended up going like 50 grand over the asking price. Offer got accepted. And I promised her, though, I would not ask for a single thing. I still wanted a home inspection. It's a 100-year-old house. I still wanted a home inspection, and I promised her I wouldn't ask for a single thing. And I said, I'm just only looking for like the wild card something that I didn't know was going to be there with this old of a house, but I promise you I'm not going to walk away everything silly. And I'm willing to waive the appraisal, but that scares me. And she's like, she's like, Doug, who are you using your lending through? And I told her, and she's like, I think I know who the appraisal will likely be. I'll take care of you. That house appraised out, shouldn't have, but the relationships work. It appraised out. I closed on the deal. At closing, after the seller left, I just small talk with the agent, as we do sometimes in the closing room. I asked Linda, I was like, Linda, how on earth did you get them to accept that offer? Because it sounded like you had the same offer on cash deals. And she's like, we did. I just told them that I trusted you. And people with cash do wonky things sometimes. Their egos get in the way. I even called your lender, which I knew she did. She's like, I even called your lender just to verify that he felt you were good. So I did my part. It's all relationships, right? But she convinced a seller to walk away from 4 cash offers over asking and take mine, where I was putting 5% down. So is the relationship game matter? All day long. And if I didn't know Linda, someone else on my team would have, and I would have been having them make that phone call for me. Does that make sense? So to come back to bring it all home, since we got a minute left here, data is going to tell you how to have a better year. Start measuring everything you do. If you're not doing it currently, then there are things that are easily measured, maybe not phone calls, but you can figure out your offer rate. You can figure out what fell through. There's things that you can look at your sources and see what you need to focus on, but follow the data and make data-driven decisions all day long. Because if you can get your answer rate up from 25% to 35%, you start to do the math and you go down all the way to the money. What's my average price? What's the average commission? You can actually calculate, if I make this change and it bumps it 10%, that could equate to an extra $30,000 in my pocket at the end of the year. It's all math. That's how corporations operate. And we just sometimes forget that we can do the same thing. Does this make sense, guys? Cool. So marketing is math, business is math. And the great thing is it's not any harder than adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing, like the simple math, right? So I hope this has helped for you guys. Good to see you all. I'd be really curious to know when we come back to the next call, what did you learn from this exercise, right? So do the homework, turn your business into a math equation and figure out, where can I make improvements? Where am I trying to up it just 5%, 10%? Because that's going to add to your bottom line. Sound good, guys? See you all later.
I had a quick question.
Arthur, I got a minute for you. What's going on? What do you think?
Yeah, from the last class, we talked about Zubilia or something.
Zudilia, yes.
Oh, first of all, could you spell that for me? Because I've been looking into it, but I couldn't find it.
Z-O-O, deal, D-E-A-L-I-O.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Yeah, because I found that very interesting, and I wanted to see if we can actually work with that too.
Yeah, just dive into it. Get the pitch from them. They're going to give you a better version of it. We're about to officially launch ours on our team. Like, we bought it. We're working through all the kinks of it. It's really simple. When I say working through the kinks, it's just I'm trying to do it for a whole team. But on an individual basis, it's like within 24 hours, you're set up, ready to roll.
Okay, sounds
cool.
Good. I'm gonna browse a little bit through it, see play around with it a little bit.
All right, sounds good, guys. Y'all take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.